there, welcome to the Upcycle Design Lab. If you're new here, my name's Cindy and I craft using recycled and repurposed materials to give you ideas on ways to make and create more economically and ecologically. And today I'm going to share with you how I made this cute Easter bunny display using Mod Podge and aluminum cans. The first thing I want to do is I'm going to remove the tabs of two cans, and I'm going to set them aside because I'll be using them in a minute. And next I want to take off the top portion of my can. You can use a regular can opener if you like. I have a tool called Draft Top, which I think does a nicer job of removing the top of the can. But if you don't have this Draft Top tool, you can use a regular can opener. It may damage the ring a little bit and it may damage the can a little bit, but generally speaking, you can get close to the same results with a regular can opener. So the portion of the can that I'm trying to get to is just this folded rim here. The next step is I'm just going to use a knife and some scissors to cut the can off right below the bend in the can. So I want to be able to remove this excess metal here, and to do that I'm just going to cut a series of slits right up to the rim, about 1/4, 3/4 of an inch apart. And when I'm done with that, I'll just go back and fold the tabs back and forth until the metal breaks off and I'm left with just the silver rim. Some people are worried about the sharp edges of the metal, but I've never really had a problem. You could probably get a pretty serious paper cut if you don't handle the metal carefully. And if you're worried about that, you can certainly wear some gloves. But like I said, I really haven't had a problem. Once you have the metal tabs removed, you'll have a smooth side of your ring and a rougher side of your ring. And sometimes you have enough of a little metal burr on the back that you can trim it off. I've used sandpaper to file them down. Today, I'm just going to tap the biggest bumps down with my hammer quickly to try to flatten out the edge and smooth it out just a little bit so that it'll lay down a little bit flatter. The next thing I want to do is take one of my rings and I'm just going to try to smash it more into a slightly more oval shape. You want to do this kind of slowly so that you're not bending it and folding it back on itself, because you want it to still lay flat, but you want to make it a little less round and a little more oval. So you can see the difference there. The next step is to take a cookie sheet, and I've got a piece of parchment paper here. And I'm going to lay my rings with the rough edge down toward the paper. I'm going to be making 2 at a time here, so I've got a round ring, an oval ring, and 2 tabs. And then I've got another set, oval ring, round ring, and 2 tabs. Now that I've got them on the parchment paper, I'm just going to carefully fill up my rings with some Mod Podge, and I will fill them all the way to the top of the ring. You might have a tiny bit that oozes out, but don't worry about that. It usually stays in pretty well, and if it doesn't, you can trim the overflow off. I've picked out 2 of my alcohol ink colors. I'm going to be doing a yellow and a teal color, so I'm just going to add a couple of drops of alcohol ink to the top of the glue. And now I'm going to take this and put it in my oven at 200 degrees for about 4 hours. While we're waiting for the Mod Podge to bake, we can go ahead and do a couple other steps. So I'm going to go ahead and make the bunny ears and the stand for the bunny rabbits. So to make the ears, I have a little template that I've traced out, and I'm just going to be cutting these pieces out of what's left from the aluminum can. You can cut the ears just out of the can as is, but I prefer to work with the cans once I've flattened the sheets. If you're interested in how I flatten aluminum cans into metal sheets, I'll link to that video in the corner above and also in the description. So I'm actually going to be cutting my rabbit ears out of a piece that I've already flattened. I like to add a little dimension to my metal pieces, so I'm going to be using my embossing tool and a little mat here to work on. And I'm just going to, on the back side or printed side, I'm just going to trace a line about 2/3 of the way up to the top. to give it a little bit more dimension there. Doesn't have to be perfectly straight. And then I'm also going to trace a line really close to the edge just to give the edge a little more definition. To make the base, I just have a small wooden dowel or skewer, an empty spool of thread, and then I'm using the lid from a tin can because I have a safety can opener, so I don't have any sharp edges on it, and there's a little bit of a lip. If you don't have a safety can opener, you could also use the lid from a glass jar. And then I'm just going to glue all the pieces together in a little stand shape using my E6000 glue. And once the glue's dry, I'll go ahead and spray the whole thing with my Rust-Oleum Bright Coat copper metallic spray paint. It's been 4 hours now, and you can see that the green color seems to be drying out pretty nicely. The yellow must have had more glue in it because it's taking quite a bit longer. There's still quite a bit of white left in the glue. So I'm going to put the yellow pieces in for about another hour. Here are the finished baked pieces, and this is what I was talking about. Sometimes when they are baking, the glue does seep out around the edge, but it's easy enough just to go back with a pair of scissors and trim that off. And you can also see that there's still some white portions of the glue that haven't dried. You can put it back in the oven if you want to. I'm just going to go ahead and let this air dry. It's dry enough to handle. So I'm going to go ahead and glue the pieces together. And to glue the pieces together, I'm just going to attach the feet and the two rings together and also glue the ears on with a little bit of E6000 glue. And I'm using just a small end of a Q-tip for the tail, or you could use a small piece of cotton. And once the glue is set up, I'm going to go ahead and attach them to the stands, again using the E6000 glue. You can check out more aluminum can projects by clicking or tapping your screen now. If you enjoyed today's video, please give it a thumbs up. If you haven't already, I'd love to have you join my YouTube family by clicking that subscribe button. Thank you so much for watching. I hope to see you back here soon in the lab for my next experiment.